Hey there, podcast listeners. We're excited to share a special message from our sponsor, White House Foods, a family-owned and operated gym located right in Winchester, Virginia. At White House Foods, they're not just about great taste, they're dedicated to quality, sustainable, and family traditions. For over 100 years, they've been planting and nurturing apple trees to bring the best apple products on the market. Whether you're craving delicious applesauce, tangy organic apple cider vinegar, or rich apple butter, White House Foods has got you covered with their all-natural, high-quality offerings. So the next time you're shopping, remember to look for White House Foods products. Taste the difference that comes from family care and dedication. Visit their website at whitehousefoods.com or look for them where you shop for your groceries. Thank you, White House Foods, for sponsoring our podcast and for bringing the best of Virginia's apple harvest to our tables. Welcome to Cold Coffee Chats, the podcast where we dive into the beautiful chaos of motherhood, the ups and downs of marriage, and the journey of growing our faith. I'm Brittany.
I'm Aubrey.
And we're your host. Each week, we'll gather around the table, coffee cups in hand, to share stories, insights, and a good dose of laughter. Whether you're navigating the sleepless nights of new parenthood, balancing the demands of family life, or seeking deeper connections in your marriage and spiritual journey, this is the space for you. Together, we'll explore the real, the raw, and the relatable moments that shape our lives. So go find that cup of now cold coffee that you probably laid down somewhere, get comfy, and let's chat about the beautiful mess of life. Okay, guys, it's Brittany here again, and we are back with part 3, the final part of our dad's interview. So enjoy, and thank you for listening.
Don't say that.
You cannot say that. All right, we're recording.
Okay, so, all right, let's get back to it. What would you say is your most embarrassing career moment?
So, like funny things?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I have to go way back for the real funny things. But I remember, we kind of grew up in a rural area and we ate at the Tortuga, it's no longer there, but it was on 50 where the United Bank is now. But
would that be equivalent to us having Friday night dinner at Denny's?
yeah, I guess so. Maybe Denny's or maybe more like the Pine Grove restaurant.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Like
Anyway.
a diner.
Yes,
Okay.
definitely. Yeah, I didn't no real fancy places or anything like that, or what to say upscale. And I can remember the first time going, and we were at a dinner. I can't remember what the event was, but I do remember I was sitting across from the vice president of operations, who was Ferris Miller, and who was like the wine connoisseur, and
He knew his stuff.
he knew his stuff. Yeah. And anyway, and the menu had entree on it, and I didn't know what an entree was. I called it, "What's the entry here?" Something like that. He
Like
looked
you
at
had to pay a fee to eat there.
yeah, he looked at me kind of weird. I went, "Ruh-roh." I just said something stupid, but and then I don't know what it was. I probably asked Paige later. What was
Did you order a filet mignon?
I can't remember anymore.
Jason does that to the kids all the time. They're like, "That's embarrassing stuff."
Did he ever hear you say the word poinsettia?
No.
Tell us, how does your family say poinsettia?
I don't know. Poinsettia.
No.
No, you're saying
Poinsettia.
No.
poinsettias.
Poinsettias is how you say it. You've always said it.
The other time, the first time I flew was with the company as well, and we were all going to some food service event or something. And anyway, I got up and I was checking my bags or whatnot. Of course, back then things were more, it was a whole lot less electronical stuff and a whole lot less automation. And so you actually went up to the to the counter, and anyway, and the lady asked me, "Do you want to check your bags all the way through?" Because we had a layover, and I'm going like, "What? Yeah, no, I guess not."
Oh no.
I'm trying to think. Do I want my bags? Yeah, no, I'll get my bags the next time. I guess I'll recheck them. I don't know how this works. So I said, "No, don't check them all the way through. I might lose them." So anyway, and there was a gentleman behind me in the company. He was a really nice person. Most people would let you make mistakes like that, but he was behind me and he overheard it, and so he said, "Did you not check your bags all the way through?" And I'm like, "I don't know what I did," and and he said, "No, I didn't check them all the way through." And he said, "Let's go up there and change that right away. We gotta get that changed." He said, "Because you don't have to pick up your bags, and then we'll probably miss the the next flight. Anyway, and he was a really good guy. His wife worked with Paige at Project Hope, and they were just good people. But it was good to there was people like that who would look out for you. Like like he knew I'd never flown. Like the rookie or the the young kids coming on this trip with us, and so he just kind of appointed himself as the mentor to make sure that happened.
Is that why you still get like travel anxiety to this day?
Oh, I don't get travel anxiety.
I was going to say, that's kind of odd now because you're like the drill sergeant through the airport. Like, come on, do this.
Yeah.
Keep up.
Well, and back then you could, like back then I flew a whole lot more after that, and especially when I was in Copac sales manager. And, I'd be like the last one on the plane, all the time. I mean, I just push it right to the limit.
Cut it close.
And, of course, today you can't do that. Today, you got to be there on time. And
also because you have a wife.
Yeah, they're not opening a gate, a gate for you or a door for you. It's you're done. So, anyway, so it's a whole lot different now. So, yeah, when all you guys are flying with us, that's trying to keep all y'all in order and keep it, and of course, Paige gets excited, but I think we just made a very nice trip to Florida.
We did. It was probably the best one. Everyone was very calm, and you did a great job.
Yeah, and the fact that we had 2 extra hours was
It helped.
Better to be prepared than running and crying.
Yeah, and we have had our stay at home. What's that show?
Home Alone.
Home Alone.
Yeah.
We've had our Home Alone.
I'll say you and Mom have like overslept on your flight date many times.
We have. One time we overslept. We had to get to National Airport, and we were flying. CanCorp was flying us to the Bahamas. They shut their company down once a year and took their whole company there, and they would invite certain vendors. And this particular year, they invited me and asked me to invite someone else, and so I invited the Armstrongs, obviously owners of the company, to go with us. So they went, and anyway, we woke up late. I think we made National in 1 hour. There was no traffic at all. It was Sunday morning, and I don't know. They'd have thrown the keys at me if they throw me away in jail if they had caught me. But
oh my God,
but there was no police, no nothing. There was no traffic. We must have went 70, 80 miles an hour to National, and anyway, and we just barely made it, but it was good.
I think all of these experiences has accumulated to how you are in airports now. And I know you don't. I know you think it's Mom, but I think it's like Mom is like taking pictures while you're trying to check in of like everybody, and you're like, this is all business. You can take pictures later.
Yeah, well, it's like how many bags are we checking, and
for her it's 3.
Yeah, Mom always has more bags than she's supposed to. I mean, the last trip she went, we were overweight going. We were 60 pounds going, and I would have never had a clue, or we would have, already went and marked that heavy. But
I'd still say it's successful because she didn't cry.
No, there was no breakdown.
There have been tears in the airport.
Everybody was
sweat, tears, blood, all of it.
And y'all have your own families, and so you kind of taking care of your own families, which is good. So, but we've, the 1 year Matt didn't have a ticket,
Well, yeah, I don't even know how that happened, but
so there's always, when you're traveling with 19 people, something bound to happen, and it does.
He probably thought we did it on purpose, like we're just.
He may have
trying.
But when United, when we had paid for his ticket and he was with us and everything, we had it, in the system. It's just they couldn't print it, so something was wrong with Renee's house. But so then, we were going to, we were going to miss the flight. And I said, hey, we can, he's the only one, we can't miss the flight. Do you have any seat at all on the plane? They said we did. So I bought the ticket again real quick, which was in coach. We were all in first class. So then now that wasn't so bad. But then when they resold his ticket,
they did. They upgraded someone into his seat.
Yes, that was very.
But I wouldn't call it an upgrade. They had to sit beside me and our toddler at the time, so
it's like a punishment.
They didn't get the tall stick.
Yeah,
if that's how you say it.
Tall stick.
They
drew the short stick.
They didn't.
They did.
Did they draw it?
I don't know.
They drew.
I would not want to be a travel agent. I would not. Yeah.
Oh no.
Yeah.
No.
Because I expect everything to be perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I knew as soon as Magnolia, we were trying to get into Magic Kingdom that day and there was something wrong with the wristband. I went over to the guest service, which the line is like worse than the line for Space Mountain. And I see Dad over there on his phone. I was like, and Mom's on her phone. And I was like, I can't even imagine Emily's phone being blown up right now by those two. And I was like, they just need to get a group text.
Hey, it got fixed, didn't it? See, and you'd have to wait 2 hours in that line.
It did. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I called her.
Yeah.
Sorry. Yeah. We kind of figured it out.
She was
Yeah.
like, if y'all are all going to contact me at the same time, could you at least do like group
Put it in a
chat?
group.
Yeah.
But you said that it wasn't like that at the time at work. Like people wouldn't like mentor. Was it like career wise? Was it a little more like cutthroat back in the day?
Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. There were silos,
Mm-hmm.
and there was definitely an anarchy.
There was probably like this mentality too. Like you're like this young nobody kid, and they're probably like side eyeing you. Like,
Well, my grandfather said,
not that you're a nobody kid, but
but he
to
said,
them you probably were.
my grandfather said, when listen now, when you go there to work, there's going to be people who are not going to be working at 8 o'clock, and they're going to be already standing in line at 5. They're going to knock down the door. You don't do that. You do this and this and so. Anyway, when I got there, I said, "Oh my God!" And at first, when he was giving me this advice, I was like, "Gosh, I'm thinking to myself, that that was 30 years ago. What do you do?" And sure enough, it was the same. I went, "Oh my gosh!" And anyway, so yeah, I don't know. I think for me, it was I can remember always had you didn't have enough work to do. And so one time I thought it'd be pretty cool. I was in accounting. I thought, oh, this would be pretty cool. We don't have a financial on every SKU. So I'll just do a financial on every SKU and everyone will love it. Right. And so I did. And I had to make some allocations on overhead and things because, it wasn't that specific. But I can remember, giving it to the controller, and the controller goes, "Wow, this is dynamite, right? This is really good stuff." He was like all excited. He couldn't wait. He almost beat me out of his office, running down to the vice president of sales and marketing, and show him, look at this really cool report. Now we can really get, financials per SKU, which of course now we wouldn't dream of not having, but we didn't have it back then, for sure. And anyway, and he says, and he got mad. He got mad. He got mad that the report was made because, it showed some things losing money, obviously.
Yeah.
And it gave him work to do, thanks to, and he didn't like it at all. He was very mad. So, that in turn was
Did you ever feel like sabotaged in your career?
Oh yeah. I mean, there was, there's definitely, I was definitely different. There's no question about that. So
Still.
yeah, I still are, but I still am, but
I still are.
still are. Yeah, I think, if and I kind of am careful about how I judge people myself because it's when someone's trying to make change, right? You can't do that without changing, and change is a threat to people for the most part. So I'll tell you, for instance, and so there was always a lot of bad news about David Gum coming out of the office, and of course the plant, and the main office, of course, was across the street, and all the smokers would, go and go in those areas that you could smoke, which is most everywhere. But when they would leave, they would go and yes.
Your wife is looking for you, and she wanted to know if you wanted to do lunch. She'll come there.
I wonder if she wants to go to Costco with me to get my glasses.
Oh, you can get Costco lunch.
Yeah.
It's like the cheapest lunch you can get.
Yeah, I get my picture redone because they
for your card?
They wouldn't let me go through last time.
Oh, no, because you look so different?
No, because there's a picture on that. Mine's a business card. There's never been a picture on it. And so they said, "Oh, you."
What would you say, because we have a lot of family, not just your kids, but also your niece and nephews and whatnot. What would you say is a benefit to family business and maybe a struggle with family business?
Well,
He has to dig deep to find a benefit.
I know, probably. We're a challenging bunch.
well, I think certainly one of the positives would be you trust your family, right? And so and certainly the benefit of being able to see your family more often, because business is demanding. It's demanding of your time, and it takes a lot of attention to it. So the good side of that is you trust each other. It's easier to have common objectives and non-conflicting objectives as far as serving the business and serving our customers. But the downside of it is there is this, you got to be careful for the enabling factor, and there's in some cases there can be, this attitude that because we're family, we don't have to work as hard, or and or that it's something that's inherent because you're a part of family. And I don't think it's so much in our immediate family, but we've had it in, not in the family. We've had people actually use the name, and we fired people in the family. We have people who don't, a little uncomfortable at Thanksgiving or Christmas or family events because somebody in the family is no longer working for the company. And and we're first generation, second generation, so I think that's much easier. What I really concern myself with is the future generations and how that will work. I usually tell people, and I try to tell the family, this was my dream, this is my thing, and so want to be a part of it, that's great, be a part of it, but be in it 100%. Don't think it isn't going to be stressful, or I won't say stressful, but don't think it's going to be easy. And and sometimes people in the business can be tougher, in the family. Sometimes it can not always be such a big benefit, but it can also be, a liability. It can be harder. People see you differently or act towards you differently. I think once people see our family, get to know our family, it's like, wow, they're just normal people. And, I think, new people, it's interesting how, when new people come into the company, you can tell they have a different expectation of the family. And then when they really see how the family functions and is, they're very comfortable. They relax in that environment a whole lot better and realize, we're just like them.
Yeah. I feel like people either have, they have two different views where, one, they don't, because we are local and, a lot of people are familiar with you, they see it as, this small business. And then other people see, whereas, it's sometimes hard to recognize, we are, a national brand, it is a big deal, or they see it as, a huge corporation, not kind of the in-between. I feel like you've done a good job of establishing, a small, work family kind of vibe in, a big business.
Yeah, I think this week has been a testimony to that, and has really, I think, answered that question of how you balance this, because we normally are trained and preached to, or told that our lives are supposed to be faith, family, and work, right, and in that order. And and here we talk about you believe green and yellow, national fruit's color. So and we have people who they just get hooked in this thing, kind of like I am. I've never left the company. I've never sold the company because emotionally I can't see myself walking away. And regardless of the money and the financial benefits of selling the company, I can't see myself getting there. I've never had a board that didn't advise me to sell. And we've had a lot of opportunities and a lot of people come after the company to buy it, and financial advisors. I've always had to stand alone, or make that vote that I'm gonna play my card. I'm gonna play my majority shareholder here, and we're not selling, because I emotionally I can't see myself leaving it now. And so this week, we have a person who's been with our company for a long time, and he's as much as family, as our family. And anyway, and his son had a severe accident, and it's critical. He's in critical care, and they're not optimistic that he will make it at all. And so, as I think about, and I know that, I know my wife, Paige has struggled with this too. She always says that I'm married to National Fruit first, or White House Foods, and second is her. And I always tell her, listen, if the business doesn't work, none of us work. If it's a big obligation, and it can't compete. You just can never be in a relationship where your job is competing with your family is competing with your job, they really have to marry up well together and balance each other and support each other because they're both needed. I don't know many people who can eat without a job, and then imagine that you always trying to balance that, so then you're never everything you can be. And so many people get caught in that thing. You're trying to balance this work life relationship, and so one of the other sacrifices because they think it has to. But the reality is they both should support each other. And there's times when one's going to be ramped up and the other one's going to be ramped down, or when they're both ramped together for demand and need of your attention. That's tough. But that there really does have to be an attitude that you're not competing and supportive. I mean, imagine if you're late getting home, and or you miss one of the children's events. Imagine if your spouse is mad about it, and draws more attention, or takes the attitude, man, I know you wanted to be there as much as I was. I filmed it. I did this. I just I wanted to make it the best experience for you, and I'm sorry that that you couldn't make it, or whatever. And so that you try to find ways to make it better versus creating more contrast or more conflict to it. And so in that family, it's no different. I mean, obviously our business is extremely demanding, and has been over the years. And so we've had to learn how to balance this thing a lot. And and so I think this week was a big answer for Paige more so than me, but it also helped me. It reminded me that this is so much more than a job. This is so much more than just a company. And so, I went to see this gentleman. This is real and happening right now, so I'm gonna be careful about the names and everything. But I went to see this gentleman, and it was tough to go. I really, because they're in CCU, I really wasn't even sure I could get to him, but I did. And the minute he saw me, he hugged me and embraced me. Well, I just hadn't been hugged and embraced that way in a long, long time. And it was a long embrace. It was a long hug. It was sobbing. And, it was an amazing need of support, and that's who we are to a lot of people. We have a big family, and we always are there for each other in times of need, but not everybody has that. And so who they do really rely on is us and their team, their family, and it is a family. Our business is a family, and that's our biggest obligation. That we're providing healthy products for consumers, but we're doing it the best we can through biblical guidance. And so, and I don't think, the thing, imagine Jesus didn't take the disciples and treat them different as family, or say that, okay, well, it's faith, and then it's my family, and then I got these disciples. It wasn't, he didn't put those two in conflict or in competition with each other at all. And so I think it really reminded me this week, and and it's Pages away on a trip right now, but and normally, we talk in the morning, we talk in the afternoon. There's very seldom we talk during the day. but we've been nonstop texting each other and back and forth as how is this particular employee's situation, and how's it going, and and so I think she's you hurt for them, you really, really hurt for them, and you want and you want to be the best family member you can for them. And I think that so this is a point of clarity, that this isn't just a business. We're, we're and then from that you can say, okay, well, what really matters then, we're in a state of crisis with this employee, or he's in a state of crisis, and what really matters. And and so, some people say, okay, well, the heck with the business, this is what really matters. But that's not true. What really matters is that we are the strongest and the best, so that in these times we can do this with no problem whatsoever. We'll go to the extremes of what it takes to support him and his family, because we can, because we are the best and most focused at everything we do, whether it be sales or yields or productivity. And so that it just to me it just says those things are just so much more important because that's what makes us able to be good stewards and also serve this family, which in turn, makes us the best with our consumers and our customers and makes us stronger than any other company and any other competitor we have. Just that we just be the best. And so anyway, I think it was a defining moment this week. It really, it's been on my mind quite a bit. It was part of our devotion this morning, our 9:00 meeting, because there's times like this that those questions you have and those conflicts and contrasting things you have come to a point of reconciliation and a point of realness that you for that. I'm sure that hug and that tight bear hug he gave me and that I mean just it went on and on. It seemed like for eternity. Meant a lot to him, but it meant a lot to me.
Well, and you've always said and like had the theory of, people's productivities will fluctuate based on what's going on in their life. And it's, about investing in them through those ups and downs too, not just when they're at their highest.
Yeah, I mean, if you ever think that everyone's always going to be at their highest, I mean, if if someone's a mechanic that can't turn a wrench, then we got to find another job for them, right?
Right.
If someone's in sales and they can't sell, I mean, that's not something that can go on not addressed. But people will have highs and lows. I mean, it's the way life works, right? And if you're new in the company and you go through some family crisis, we do think about it, like, how long is this going to be? And, are they really good at the job anyway? And so is this a team member that's best for us to, invest in, or is it best for us to say, hey, go get your life together and then come back? Because we're not just overloaded with people. We try to be extremely lean. But, you also, I think the best we do is in cases of sickness, if someone gets cancer on our team or is fighting cancer, or something really, really bad illness, they can count on us.
Yeah.
And we, a lot of people say, we're not that structured as far as corporate policy. And I know that sometimes that gets us in trouble a little bit, or, sometimes, some people use it to their advantage or our disadvantage as a company. But, the reason it's that way is because we want the flexibility to meet people's needs. And we don't want a system that says, hey, okay, so, you've been out X amount of time and you used up all this time and all your personal leave time. So, good luck. And, so all the more reason for us to be as strong as we possibly can so we can be more than just a company. But if someone's not strong with their relationship at home, then they're not going to be strong in the business. And so we really listen to Dave Ramsey a lot on this particular area, because if someone will have an affair on their wife, then they'll probably have an affair on you. And it does say something about their character, and not that people can't make mistakes, but you gotta get through that. Yeah. Because it's going to affect their productivity at work, and it's going to affect the rest of the team. If someone's financially not stable, or they're not good with their finances, you got to get them to the Dave Ramsey class so they can become financially independent and strong. So that when they're at work, they're not sitting there worrying about, oh my gosh, how am I going to pay the electric bill, or how am I going to do this and that. So those things are important. It's important to make your team as strong as you can, just not focusing on the business skills that are needed, but also the personal skills that are needed. So strong at home, strong at work. and strong at work, then you could be strong at home too. So, if you go home stressing over things at work, then you're going to take that home, and it's going to affect the family. And so, anyway, we have to be healthy all the way around, and trying to supply the support and the needs to make sure that our folks and we have that is much needed and much focused on in the company, I think.
What kind of advice would you give someone who's trying to balance stressors of work. Maybe they have a family business, also balancing home life and all that kind of stuff. And kids.
Yeah, and kids. Well, I mean, put it in perspective. Most of the people just get things out of perspective. I remember, one of my first jobs is certainly in operations. My first job was working in a bottling operation, and the quality technician was a lady by the name of Ada Patterson, and she was my Cub Scout den mother, and and that it was interesting, and I remember I used her a little bit. I mean, there was an older guy who I guess he didn't think he needed to call in, but our policy was 3 days no call in termination. And so we're on the third day and he didn't call. So I go into the quality lab and I says, "Man, this is going to be terrible." I said, "That guy's been here forever and he hadn't called in 3 days. We're going to have to let him go." Well, within an hour we had a call. So, I would use her to keep me out of trouble on certain things, and and nothing wrong with that. But one of the things she said to me one time, I don't know, I must have made, I don't know what was exactly going on that instigated this conversation. But I said something about stress, and she said, "David, you eat stress 3 meals a day, 7 days a week." And so a lot of it is, how people can digest stress, and that's really, it's, so the more faith you have, you're a child of God, and nothing can impact you, right? You're a child of the most highest authority in the world, and beyond. So really nothing, if you have faith, and you just kind of go through, and it's kind of interesting to find those people and watch those people, how they act, and try to get some of that, that eternal one. But so a lot of it is putting stress in perspective, realizing that there's always going to be some type of issue that you have to deal with, and non-dealing with it just makes it get worse and makes it more stressful. So you're always, and address conflict as soon as you can, and don't hold back on conflict. Have a conversation. I mean, we're just people, and everybody's just people, and everyone, has. I mean, there's some weird characters out there, but for the most part, everybody's, trying to get along and trying to make things jive and work and flow. And when we ignore those things, then it just creates more stress and conflict. So address those things front on, head on. It's life. We get to go through it one time. Sometimes the things that we think are really important aren't that important. You can delegate a lot of things. Not everybody in your team is always on the high cycle of life and demand. So just be honest with your team, what you need, what you can do, and get them to help you. But I mean, at the end of the day, all of those things are really how we process them in our mind. And so focus a lot on mental health and how much, and also, think about this. God already knows the answer. Whatever you're going through right now, God already knows the answer. He already sees, the next year, the next 2 years, the next 3 years. And so you're in this moment and you think it's, like the absolute, this is it. This is the moment. It's right. This is it. And it's not it. Because, the answer one's already known. And number two, you will pass through this time, whatever it is, you're passing through it. And it's amazing. You look back on things, go, wow, I really thought that was important back then, but now it's not. Or I really thought that was going to affect our lives, and really didn't affect our lives. And so try to put it in perspective, get through it, try to stay away from getting angry. But I mean, a lot of like with Mom and I, Paige and I, your old's mother, I pick on her a lot.
Yeah, you don't say.
I like to stir it a little bit,
Yeah, you said you like to stir the pot.
Yeah, stir the pot
And
just a little
you've
bit.
taught your son-in-laws how to also stir the pot.
Yeah.
I think they're pretty good at it before me.
Matt definitely
Matt's
is
like a
mischievous.
natural pot
Yeah.
stirrer.
Born bred.
Yeah.
Mischievous.
And
But Jason is so quiet.
yeah,
He's like started to rub off, and so when he says something, it's like
I'm like, what do you do?
I don't know rub off where he's coming out. I don't
It was
I think
always
that
him.
capacity was always there. I think
Just usually all in here.
yeah, he's just or
Usually has more of a filter.
yeah, or he's just so smooth about it. I mean, probably miss a lot. Yeah.
I do that a lot.
Well, knowing what you know now, what would you tell your younger self? What would you want him to know, or advice you would give him?
Well, I think I think the biggest piece of advice it was never to doubt your abilities and I think so many times we think we're not capable of things and we are. I think we hold back and we don't. I mean we are we are just made in God's image and we have all this capacity. You know, the brain can fix itself and it can it can process things differently. And but we're all made in His image, and there's no one who's figured out how this brain works, how all of our brains work yet. I mean, it's just an incredible amount of storage we have up there, and amount of brain power we're not even using. But we can do anything, and we can be anything. We can accomplish great things. And I think many times I thought of myself as, okay, I'm just this little kid that came from a rural family, that turn wrenches and fix plumbing pipes. I mean, I literally would be in septic tanks some of my summers, putting in drain filter and whatnot. But if something went wrong with the septic tank, I mean, you pump all you could out, but then someone had to get down the bottom and shovel them solids out. I mean, I did that, So
Literally started it.
yeah, you literally start at the bottom, and you look at people above you as a whole lot more intelligent and all this stuff, and so sometimes you don't give yourself enough credit, or you don't go about something as strong as hard as you should because you have these doubts, and it's and that they just don't exist. They're not real. My grandfather always said that, on his dying moment, the last time I had any words with him in the hospital, his dying words were, "Clark, I always try to treat people as I wanted to be treated. And I think that's enough." And, he was basically letting me know that he was leaving, he was going to heaven, and that was his life motto, and that was his life mission and objective, and he did. I mean, people just loved him, and so sometimes I think also, I'll never be my grandfather. There's just no way. I mean, he just had a talent and a skill to be loved that I don't. I have a better talent of making ticket people off sometimes, but I think also sometimes we're so engaged in what people think of us that we use that as our defining limitation instead of being what we're supposed to be and do all we're supposed to do. And so anyway, those I think those would be the things that I would tell a younger me. Just plow ahead.
And what's next?
You have any future plans or goals other than going to Costco today?
To get my glasses? Well, I read recently. Well, I read a lot. You all know that. I'm reading it to challenge myself. I try to read things that I'm really opposite of. So I say, well, I'm not sure how that people think. Let me read this so I can figure out how they think. Don't get much better than that, but at least I try to read both sides of things. I have a hard time reading anything fiction unless it can be true. I love to read about leaders and their success story and what they did, and because I just immediately can see application to our own life. But I read recently that when actually I didn't read it. Yeah, now I'm remembering where it came from. I was listening to it's Bobby Schuller the other day, and I love Robert Schuller. Read all of his books coming up, and so his grandson's just terrific too. So I usually watch him, and he said that you know you're old. They were defining when you're old or when you're young, and he said, there is old young people, and there are young old people. And he said, and so he's saying, when you know you're old, or you're talking to someone old, is they talk about the past, and when you're talking to someone young, they're just talking about the future. And so I thought to myself, oh my gosh, I'm always trying to challenge our team by talking about the past and things we did in the past and blah blah blah. And I realized, well, I'm just talking about the past. And so, I think we used to be a whole lot better at growth strategy and acquisition strategy and all those things. And they were a major focus of our company and what we're supposed to do. So I think it was a little wake up, thing for me to, hey, let's get more focused on the future and not so focused on the moment, because the moment passed pretty quick. And so I think that's, I don't know. And when I bought the company, again, I thought life was 40, 41, that time frame. So, that was my age. I was in my 40s when I purchased the company. But before I did that, I thought, wow, this could be really bad, because, my whole life objective prior to that, for a family objective, really was to make sure that the family was sitting on solid ground. That if anything happened to me, like happened to my dad, we're on solid ground. And now I'm going to take that solid ground and I'm going to put it all at risk. And if anything goes wrong, I've left the family in a heck of a position, right? And so we turned that around pretty quick, obviously, and that was good. But I asked God, I said, how long am I going to live? Am I really supposed to do this? This is really you calling me to do this. And anyway, and the answer was 94. So, I don't think the answer was, hey,
Have you ever told Benjamin this story?
no, I don't think so.
He will take that very literal.
Yeah. Yeah. And then, so, and I don't think he meant it that way. I don't think God meant it that way. I think he meant, listen, don't worry about anything. You're going to live to 94 plus, But, and my grandfather, of course, was old when he passed. So, here we are, and you're thinking about how much time you got left, and, and a lot of my friends are retiring and, rolling up their sleeves and, they're out, taking these cruises and these long vacations, and, stress me because Paige sees it. And she goes, look what they're doing, that's what we should be doing. We should be, and I really, I have a desire to.
That vacation last week to Disney with all of us wasn't relaxing.
It was fun. It was
10 grandkids.
Well, we were creating memories for grandkids, right?
Yeah, it was not relaxing.
Yeah,
I'm still recovering.
It was for them. It wasn't for.
No. Being in Disney Park at midnight, with 2-year-old and a 3-year-old. And there's no none, so it's just. It was fine, and hopefully they'll remember that. I always think about what age they are and how much they'll remember. But those are building memories, and those are cool things. But so I like to go. I like to see. We went to Portugal this year. We would have never done that. We went on an Alaskan cruise, which was 15 days, I believe. I had never been away from the company 15 days, never ever. So that was
with limited cell reception.
With limited, yeah.
I'll never forget the day before we left the morning meeting. You cried. I was like, this man is unwell.
It was like leaving your child for 15 days.
Yeah, and it all went
Leave
well.
my baby for the first time.
It all went well, didn't it? So I like to see those things, do those things, but I just really have no desire to retire. There's nothing in the Bible that talks about retirement.
The kids asked me the other day, retirement came up, and I don't know where they're learning about retirement, but I think Benjamin was like, he had heard somebody was retired. He was like, is Dee Dee retired? And Jason said, Dee Dee is the opposite of retired. And one of the kids said, well, when do you think Dee Dee will retire? And Amelia goes, Dee Dee's never going to retire. That's what mom says.
They're not wrong.
Yeah, I think I am positioning myself to be less engaged in the day-to-day business, on the day-to-day operation. But to retire, I don't see that in my future. And I don't mean I don't know if that means down with my boots on or not. But hey, we got the kids.
Speaking of a 2-year-old.
Hey.
Well, this might be a good time to wrap up.
I was going to ask you before we end, what's the best part of being a Dee Dee?
This is it.
This is it.
This is it.
Hey, baby. All right. Well, we're going to wrap this up.
Rosie, say bye-bye.
Rosie, can you say bye-bye? Guys, so that is a wrap on part 3 of our interview with our dad. We thank you so much for listening. We hope you enjoyed it as much as we enjoyed the opportunity to hear our dad's story. Believe it or not, I heard stories and things that I had never heard before. So this was so fun. We did just want to take a moment to ask for prayers for the Harms family. Gary Harms is a team member here at White House Foods, and after we recorded this episode, his son did pass away from a tragic accident. So we just ask for prayers for his family and his children and his wife, and we just pray for comfort and healing for them during this unimaginable time. Thank you for listening to our podcast, and we are just so appreciative of our listeners and you taking the time to listen to all 3 parts. Thank you and have a great week.